people online and then also in person with us today for the class. If the online people don't mind going to the chat menu and typing in your name, that way we have you for roll call and type in the salon number you're from. And then we have Jeff Stark to come and yell. We're going to get started that way. We are falling behind on time. We thank you for joining us today. But and I'd like to welcome all of you. We're going to touch on the different color lines we have. So if you're like me, sometimes you need a little refresher on color, or maybe sometimes you need something new that inspires you. So today, we got for you. Maybe just a second. Oh, my leg. Sorry, guys. We have people join in. It's more in person, so they're going to sneak in the back, and we'll introduce them later. Um, so today you're in that. We're going to hopefully inspire you or help you guys with a little bit of product knowledge. Right? We're going to have customers kind of walking in and out. The salon is open today for business. So I'm Melissa. I'm a district manager from the south side, and then I have a roundabout area too. So I go from Centralia, Tumwater, Olympia, and then Lacey, and then I jump to Graham, Big Harbor, Federway, and Kent. And I've been in the industry over 23 years, and I wanted to join the education team to help guide the stylists and kind of inspire people and get you guys the knowledge. So we want you to know that the education always is a safe place. You guys can ask questions and don't feel like it's a silly question or a dumb question. Someone may have the same question as you, so feel free to answer. And the people in person today, we have a little hand. You're going to grab this if you have a question and wave it. And the people online will just chat in, and Jeff will be running our online for us and get us your questions. So this is Queenie Ann. She actually was our first educator with Gale Salon. And she really inspired me with education. Being an old-time stylist, I was someone who didn't know how to balayage or foliage. It was something we self-taught ourselves. They didn't teach us back then. And her first class was that. And she really made it a fun experience. I never liked how mine turned out in person. And after taking her class, it was a lot more simple. And I liked how colorful you're able to achieve with her technique. I'm glad she's here presenting with today. She's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to her teaching you guys. So we're gonna jump in a little bit.
years now. Years ago, so that was really wonderful, and it actually encouraged me to go back to school and get my IT. I'm also like she said, the education area is definitely like if you guys have any questions about anything, you can shoot text, shoot email, give me a call at like last night. And we'll definitely help you out with things, especially education related. If you don't know the answer, we definitely will take it on ourselves to find out what we can get back to you guys. So don't hesitate to reach out on anything. Even if you have suggestions that are possible. How you want to learn them. We do try to do as much as we can person as our shop. So if you can't come in person, we appreciate those right pop in online. If you have any questions or videos, just let us know. And then if you need some extra further assistance with us, just grab us when we're have a moment and go to the next step.
Yeah. And then, so you guys know, most of the classes are recorded, and so they'll be on our YouTube page under Guest Salon. So if you guys forget something we've gone over, you can always pop up there and rewatch the video. And then if you guys have any questions, you can always ask them on the Guest Salon Facebook page too. Or then let's jump into the theory. So our fashion color is Joico. And it's Joico Intensity. This is the line that I love. In the past, fashion colors was released onto blonde customers, or you didn't want them to bleed. Joico does not do this, and it offers more variety of colors, and it comes out true to colors on into the type. And so then we have our Jean Ann has had a little bit of fashion color here on her end, the purple. So you guys can see how vibrant it does come out. And then for our demi line, it's Super C. This line changed last year. And Rochelle and myself could do a video on it, so you won't touch too much on it today. But you can hop on the YouTube station and see more about the color scheme and demi and what you would use it for.
Including the new line, the super things. Yeah. That's what's coming together, their new line.
Yeah. And so Jean Ann is going to talk about the tonal control now. So I'll turn it over to her.
So, any questions for everybody in here, and then for anybody that's hopping online. Does anybody actually use tonal control before? You don't know. Yeah. What are your thoughts on it? I love it. It gives that nice natural effect. So from my experience, most people don't use it. People don't know anything about it. I personally used it quite a few times, and I will talk a little bit on when to use it, how to use it, and what service support. Kind of like the let your live for the tonal control, so that way we're more confident when we're choosing what toner or what color line that we use. Just do like try to build your confidence in the tonal. Talk about who to let the light. We're going to go ahead and flip to the next slide. So if you guys can see it, this is our total control pre-bonnet against any colors through there. So this is kind of the who it is. Like, it tells a little bit more about it. It's an aesthetic permanent color. It adds and adjusts color tones to it. It adds shine. It's no drip and it's color code. What do you mean by no drip? Like, the consistency of it is a lot more smoother, especially when you're applying this toner. And it doesn't have as much of that, like almost like silky vibes and stuff. Yeah, and then color coded aspect comes in the box. So like guessing what am I doing? these ones try to even, they're getting better with, you know, these are the same way. Seven red, they have red, higher hydrogen. So we got reds, green base, yellow warm. Obviously for a nice cool one, they even go into like a double ash and a titanium, so they're like extra blue. And then we have more of like our beige. This is a natural green ash. These are more like our beige. So what you see on the box is kind of what you're going to get out of the product. And even when it's true to oxidation, the color will start out pretty much similar to what it's going to look. And then as the real-time oxidation happens, there's not like a lot of second guessing on the out there. That way. These ones, it's always best if you color keep them in the full 20 minutes to get that longevity of it. But and then still going to go back to that one. Yeah. This we're going to just talk a little bit about the West. We did the two that is in the specific demo, but why it works is because without lift and it will heal the hair and help refine. So as the other colors have a little bit shifted, exactly no difference. All right. So we know what pH balance hair is like natural or yeah. We have our pH skeletal level, we have the acidic, and then we have does anybody know where hair is? Yeah, yeah. So the 4.5, 5.5 is exactly where hair is. But what they don't teach you is where porous hair is. Porous hair is a lot more outlined. The porous hair is going to so the acidic part of the total control is actually going to help close the down and bring it down this way. It has hair that is that horizontal and more open, beautiful growth, more damage, or has right? That should be recommended. And yeah, you'll actually help seal that in so that any toner that you aren't gonna like grab extra gray or grab muddy or any of that that they have. So when we do the acidic toner, it brings it back down to down pH balance, which helps. It closes the cuticle, it smooths it, and it kind of like seals it all. And that's why it works. It is the pH balance of that and all things that kind of go in. She actually, this is insecure. This is pH strength. Anytime you have got a little bit damaged or open cuticle, anytime you're putting color in, especially a toner or a blocker or priming, this is really, really great to help kind of like bring the pH balance back into its normal run. This is for healthy hair. We want our hair to healthy. We don't want it to go into more of the alkaline area. We want it to stay in healthy. This is definitely recommended with use of this pH balance brings it back. Well, that's where it goes. Kind of like seal it. It helps close the cuticle. Smooth everything. Why? Okay. This one, I don't know if you guys can see it. This is kind of like they have it on the Matrix website as well. Most of these slides, like that I got, you can actually look at the website itself and see all of these slides and whatnot. But it's kind of got the difference between the total control and the or the super colors that we're going to have. The acidic versus the alkaline, the zero lift, the tonal pro or tonal control. And then this one, when you're in this, it says say it can shift up to a half level. I want to be very specific. When it says shift, it means it's going to adjust a little bit. It's not going to give you an extra lift of stuff, but like let's say an all over bleach film and more on the yellows of what you want to. It's not that true banana peel. Got to tinge more yellow. It produces the color sync with that. That could of shift that in there, it's more true thing. If you have a nice clean pale banana, that's going to be really great to go in and the total. Online, are you guys hearing my echo? I hear my echo. Okay, and then the cameras over there, so I don't know, like chat in on the box to see if that echo is bothering or if you can hear it.
Can you guys see if you can still hear the echo now?
Michael.
No,
Thank you, guys.
so that kind of went over the who, the what, the why. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, what's the difference between the when to use toner control and the
Perfect. So
because I just guess and use it.
that's great. We're going to talk about the when right now. Right now we covered the who, the what, and the why, and the when will be up. And then we'll kind of be able to like deep dive a little bit more. Once you know like the differences between the two and why to use them, you're able to kind of help determine what product would be better. Both of these products are really great to have in the salon because they each have their place. Like we have a few different colors going through, but each color line and color part that we have to make this color line is really great because it does. Thank you. So this is so this is our other seven. Outline. So this is the when to use it. There is the four basic categories on when to use it, which is very similar to the lighting services. When changing tone without changing the level, when neutralizing unwanted warmth, and when hair lifts unevenly. So starting with the lighting services. Anybody have any like when we can use the total control in a lighting service? Okay, so I like to use the total control when I'm oil and when I'm salt because you can do when you're using total control, you can make more than one toner to kind of get exactly how that's going on, right? And you need something a little bit more dimension, and then it's down to a nice cooler blonde. You can make those violet clean, and then when you're doing oils gives you that nice solid fit through there, where you can use that kind of control. Now, if I were to do an overall, like I said earlier, or something that doesn't fit like that, I would use the steam to kind of shift it out. When changing tone without changing level. So that's a little bit, it's a little bit different than technically just like, so you may, I have a lot of things that come in, like, oh, I'm in summer, I want my hair to be a little bit more warm. And so we can go in and add, yeah, no, of course, we can go in and add a nice warm one. So if they have a nice green or a nice ashier base right home and they want to warm it up without changing level, this is great for refreshing. Then we have neutralizing unwanted warmth. That gets into just like our basic. When we're wanting to go from yellow and we add a little bit of orange, we're adding a little bit of blue. There's post lightning drafting it. Sometimes the hair is just too drafty, or if you want to tone it, you can go in there, take out some of that extra drafting, or same kind of concept. You can use that if it's a little of that extra grassiness and then go with the second toner and give it like color that. And then the last one with hair lifts uneven. So a lot of times when you pull hair, you'll have a shift that you'll have like more hair versus like the mid shaft. If you want to go and do just like a brief patch, just to kind of cool it down, or even vice versa, add more to it. You can use that in the right way. So these are just kind of like key points of when you can use that. Now, did that answer your question before with that? I know that each one can be used on both kind of situations, but did that give you a little bit more of an example? Yeah, kind of. So,
If you guys keep in mind, what I like to tell my stylists is if you think, so the super sink is gonna be more like your lipstick, where if you're a rocky person, it's gonna be more sheer and shiny, where if it's lipstick, it's gonna be more solid color and wrap.
so anytime you were covering gray, anytime that you wanted to have a nice deep deposit, going darker, changing the tone of the hair, and changing the level, I would always go with my super safe for the color thing. Anytime you're running, giving it kind of like a translucent, like a nice shine of conditioning gloss, I would go with my color.
So you guys still have a book in your salon. One side is, sorry, almost in all, and then it goes up and around. It's also your super sync book. I'm gonna come up to the camera so the stylist on the camera can see them first. So you can kind of see that the super sync is a little bit darker and more pigmented. Where the tonal control is not gonna have that much pigment. So you guys can tap these around here in the class and take a look at them. You guys have questions online at all?
I have this one. Total control makes mindset. The behavior, color, this total control, we need to visualize the hair. We need to refine the hair. We need to balance the colors and want to customize multiple tones. This is a great kind of like rule of thumb always. Okay, you're not just coloring the whole going in. I hope that everybody gives total a try. It is a really great product. I know it's not specifically ideal for every client that comes in our chair, but we're going to have a few of them out there that total control is going to work really well. I even use total control on my dark in my hair because sometimes my hair flows really warm, and I will use total control ash base to kind of cut out some of that extra warmth and give it more of a pure dark color. That is the end of the total control aspect. We're going to run over and jump in with
gonna give you lift and deposit, and you can use it to refresh color mixes. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the different options that Soul Color does have. So one thing that I want you guys to know about is kind of decoding colors. I mean, I'll get all the slides after the class today. I'll email them to your managers or district managers. So you'll have these slides with you, and in class here, you guys will have this too. So you talk that up. So our zero is gonna have more of a neutral base, where the one have more of a soft base. Two is a violet base. Three is a gold base. Four is copper. Five, level 5 is gonna be more kind of mahogany base. 6 is gonna be a red base. 7 is gonna be more of a jade base, so that's where our greens are gonna fall more into. And then 8 is gonna be more mocha. And then 9 is pearl. The pearls are a lighter violet, so you guys know. So they fall cool, but it's gonna be more of a sheer cool, if that makes sense. So this is a good cover the mind for size. So we have our gray coverage or dream age. You're gonna use this on your gray here. So you guys know the difference between our gray coverage and dream age. So this is gonna be permanent. Semi is gonna be our super thing. This is all gonna be permanent. So color purple or yeah. Okay. So some salons still have dream age. So it different reflect in the background that it has. So do you guys know what reflect means? Yeah. So if you think of it versus like a white background, then it has different reflect that way. And when you're mixing color, you always want to do a 1-to-1 ratio. That means if you use 1 ounce of color, you're using 1 ounce of development. And we have our reflex one. So this is going to be more of a red camp. And it's going to be more vibrant. And hi, you can come in the back. And so you'll know other ours or the RVs will be on this. We have our upstress blonde. Didn't have a UL in the salon today, but they are available. So if you have blonde hair, you would use that for that one. And you want to use double braids.
I would totally.
Yeah. And then you want to make sure you mix it properly. Make sure you're mixing. We have our high definition. So this salon was out of the high definition. It's going to be your HDRR and your HDRP. These do not get mixed with other colors. They only play by themselves. So they're their own kind of family. stay by yourself and not play with them. So that's something important to remember. When using these, I would like to make sure the customer wants to be read for a while. It's not someone who can get read today and then we down the road they want to go lighter. Because these really penetrate into the cuticle, so they're harder to get out. So you want to make sure it's that it's someone who wants to be read for a while. Sorry, I'm gonna flip it to the next one. Oh, difficult. So it's so boost. Some of these are discontinued. So right now we have the red and the blue. They are limited at just the ones that we still currently have them. So you're going to use a fourth of an ounce in your formula. You never want to use more than that. You can use a tea size for fourth of an ounce whether it's recommended. So if you do 1.5 ounce of your regular RR and you want to add a little of this, you would do 1/2 ounce. That makes sense to everybody. So you have 1.5 ounces of our 6 RR, and then 1/2 ounce of this one with me.
Well,
And then 2 ounces of the milk.
and that is actually on the box here. Okay, so on the box, that should be the 1.5, and then 1/2 ounce up to. So if you're not going to use the room, use a fourth of it instead of 1/2 of it, make sure you take measurements. Like what?
You missed one. I'm not sure what happened to this one. We have our extra blondie cream. This is one of my favorites. And it's going to give you an extra half level to a level of lift. You can use this for multiple. That's in it here with you guys. So you walk up to the camera. So this is the one tube that is going to stay in a 2 ounce tube. The rest is going to be 3 ounces.
Put it on.
Just check in with the online that they're seeing okay and if they have any questions. Dan showed the wrong one. Hold on.
They're both blue.
And we'll find the slide when we take a break and share it with you guys.
What I shared was the JUL that she used for blonde. This is extra blonding cream. And then she said that in your dark, you can add it to make a little bit more richer, kind of. That's what I do not recommend. That is a complete.
So you never add color into the bleach. You always want to follow the manufacturer's directions. That way it protects us and it protects the company too. And that's something we take pretty serious. So don't ever add any color in. Now with that being said, you never want to use this by itself. It always needs to go with another color. So it will make richer brown, more vibrant red, or blonde, or long. So have you ever thought, let's say Nan came in for color and we normally lift her to a level 6. He hasn't really been happy with it because it just went out a little bit. And you don't really So I would mix this with my formula, and it would break through that copper color for us and give her more of the brown. Or you can also use this if you guys have customers that maybe have colored their hair at home and have a little band. This will help lift through that band half a level to a full level. So you guys can use that maybe in the mid shaft where they have the band. Or sometimes they have a band more towards the end. Or if you're a stylist that maybe overlaps the color a little bit and you got a small band, this will help get that out.
So you would use that with your color to
Yeah.
do that. Okay.
Same as kind of like the additive. Here. It's not gonna add like a whole bunch of red to it. It's gonna help make it more of a rich red.
We used to have a lining bonding, we could add on to. Probably that now.
Not with Matrix.
Oh.
It was with a different one. I know what you're talking about. With the pearl lights, there is an additive that you can add into that, but that is the only one you should be adding an additive, and that goes with that. Okay. Oh, so then you're all getting a color wheel. So the color wheel is great. So you're gonna be able to see where the colors exactly fall. So if it's more of a warm color, it's gonna be more in your yellows or oranges. Where if it's more of a cool, it tells you exactly where it falls. That way it makes the mixing process easier for you guys as stylists. And so color has a humongous palette for us. And it gives us the opportunity to work with our consultation. And you guys want to ask open-ended questions with the consultation, and we'll kind of go through that after our foil placements today. Questions that are useful to help as a stylist. We have both newer and older stylists here with us, so it's just nice to kind of have a refresher. That way we make sure we're touching and getting what the customers are asking for. So don't be afraid to play with color. If you guys have questions at all, just in a wait for online, just in case they have.
Question.
Yeah.
I was. I don't tolerant customer.
Sorry, I can't.
I don't tolerant customer, the highlight, I do target is 13Y, 14Y, or 20Y. Okay, well,那个 Tanya say, 怪动不痛.
Okay, so Ming's question is why she been with the company a long time, and she didn't know, she never used the toner before when she would do her lighters. So she wants to know why she would use the toner. So once we lift with lightener, it opens the cuticle. And if you think of it, okay, here's your cuticle before we put lightener on it. When we open it, it kind of expands and spreads out. So a toner is gonna take and seal all that backflows and protect it. So if you're someone who gets your nails done, if you just put your polish on without a top coat, you really aren't gonna have the protection you would with the top coat. So it's gonna add shine and kind of seal it and protect it. You guys think of the top.
Yeah, and just for the basicness of a toner usually is used, I mean, it does help seal the cuticle and help close color in, but a lot of people don't like the raw. A lot of people want more of an ashier blonde. They kind of want to come in and they want that cool soft blonde, or they want like a beige kind of blondes are really popular right now, going in the honey colors, and those colors aren't raw bleach. A raw bleach blonde has its place in the world, but most clients don't necessarily want that. they have a tendency to say it looks more yellow and looks more golden than they want. So the toner is going to cancel out unwanted pigment, or it's going to enhance wanted pigment. So we're either going to cancel out some of those yellows and put in some ash, or we're going to enhance the warmth with, we want to feel like more of a complement or more of like a beigeier kind of color to it. That's kind of the purpose of toners on the just the color side. And not-
So if her client liked the color just of the bleach, she could also put a clear on, is right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And the clear is the same protection and the same cloth with the same shield. That's why most I think with all colored clears, the company Gil Salons Hair Masters, we should be doing a toner or gloss at the end of every highlighting service, just to give it that nice pressure, that nice finish to it. Because all of our colors are pre-bonded and or even control. Like I said, it's got more of that aesthetic, so it's gonna help seal them there. Yes, that's very good.
And with your color services, we always do a deep conditioner afterwards too. So we don't break the price down for each of the things you, before you start the service, you quote them ahead of time. And so you would quote that.
When you start working with colors and colors, and after doing a heavy chemical, when do you decide when to do the, let's say, hair mask? Would it be after or before the color? Does that depend on the pH of the color?
What type of hair mask you would go would be yes, that would be, so before you do anything, so if I have to look in per color, I'm automatically gonna look for either a basic one, and then once the consultation, that's where you're gonna kind of really get into know and see and feel, and if you need that one, like, look, I'm not comfortable performing this service unless we do a deep conditioning to it, or even an old flex treatment. Because I know I have some people who got some breakage and some, some kind of like dry ends, and they want to be nice, bright blonde and do all the light. I tell them, I said, I'm not comfortable performing a lightning service on your hair unless we do either one of these. And I usually give them a suggestion on what they say. I would recommend either this one or that one, and then talk to them about it. And then before you guys start any work, you kind of agree to the price that they have paid with what we offer, and then with what's within their budget as well too. So we don't want to. I have clients where they want these elaborate, lovely things. They just unfortunately can't afford all of the service. So in that way, we'll kind of compromise what we do, but we never compromise our work for the price that they're able to pay. So if they're only able to pay for a partial foil, then we're going to do a partial foil and not that. But during the consultation, that will be able to determine more of what kind of conditioning treatment, mask, deep conditioner, or Olaplex treatment that's going to be best for your client. And then just give them the knowledge on that stuff. And then, because never when you go to the shampoo bowl, you shouldn't be like, oh man, we need to get a little bit extra moisture in that, because we're not wanting to push our client's hair to the end, but we're only going to do what their hair is going to allow, which is why test strip.
So with that being said too, this is gonna be your best friend with color. And then Lana also made a deep conditioner sheet that all the salons have. So you guys should check these out. If you haven't used them, I would get to know them. There's a lot out there that is great for the hair. So we'll pass this around. We'll send it to the ones online if you guys don't have it again, just as a little refresher.
We have like the basic conditioning treatments that every client should be using with it. My favorite like specialty conditioning treatment is the Olaplex Core. I absolutely love it. It's very concentrated. It goes on really well. It works for most hair types, and it's not like a crazy upsale, so most people are too afraid to get it. More like it's like half the price of our Olaplex treatment, even though the Olaplex treatment has its place in the world. Not everybody wants for it. But I do like, just for like our like the next tier conditioning service, I like the Olaplex Core. That's one of my favorites.
That would be more of a specialty. So I run $15. Where I'm very much a user, and so I call the other one the one you add into the chemical, the liquid gold. And you guys need to think. Don't judge people by how they come in or what you think they have money for. They'll tell you if they want to spend the price or not. to never kind of undercut themselves. These people can't afford it. They can't. And you guys are worth it as a pilot. We need to make sure that we are pricing correctly. See?
Question. This must be old. What device is 15-star base?
Yes, this one was just an example.
Oh, okay.
But we'll get the new one. We didn't have the new one up front. Brian does have the new one. Any questions online? So we're gonna take a 2-minute break. If you guys wanna go to the restroom or grab something to drink, we're just gonna switch over to more of our boiling technique. So go ahead and take a break.
2 minutes.
Online, Jeannie Ann's just getting set up and she's mixing up some lightener right now.
So when making my
Sorry, I'm turning the camera. It was on me. Okay.
so making my bleach, I'm putting it in oil. I don't like it to be too runny, but it doesn't need to be cream cheese thick. I use cream cheese thick when I do like balayage and stuff. So it's like more of like true to the like recommended. To the 2 ounces kind of thing. I don't have one with me, so I'm using eyeball my color.
But what do you need?
Oh, I don't. Measure.
No, so.
Then
I'll just grab one.
I can eyeball it.
So we never wanted to.
What? I don't have I'm so used to having a scale, but. So, I did like 1.5 just because I don't want to waste any product, and then I'm gonna do 1.5 over this. I'm using 20. This is just to show you guys the consistency of what we're doing and how it's. This is just to get it back. I'm gonna use 2, just one as my stir and one as my kind of like my well, and then this is gonna be my product. So this is gonna be like the well, just grab it in and stir it and get my brush all mucky and yucky. I like to try to keep my brushes as clean as possible throughout the whole time. Doesn't always happen, but I can't stand going in with a bleach with a dirty brush like that.
Okay.
Okay. I know we're gonna let this in. I just had this pre-made ahead of time. We're gonna talk a little bit before we actually like jump into doing the foil. Here's a few things that I want to touch base with before we actually start like putting hands on with the foil. So, it basically says from scalp to tip, each hair paints its own story. So we are talking in the springtime, yeah. Most of my clients, a lot of my clients in the springtime, they want to add blondes. So that's what we're going to kind of do today. I'm going to show you like a quick foil placement of a money piece just within the blonde range so that it gives the client a nice fun pop of color with being a quick speed service. It's a high impact, so it really like kind of pizzazz and wows the clients a lot. It's something that is pretty in trend and popular right now. And so it just kind of like gives us that nice overall sense of being warm and bright and fun without doing an all over 2-hour foiling process. And then the next slideshow, we're going to talk about the foundation of consultation and colors. So we're going to talk about the foundation or the building block of them. So the building block of the clients, when you have a client that sits down there, what are some of the things that we need to figure out before we start in with a color, like the color process? So when I have a client, when we sit down in our chair, there's some of the things that I need to think about that I want to think about is the natural level of the hair that they have, the texture of the hair, the level that they're wanting to go to. Those are all going to, yeah, so those are all going to figure out what is going on with the client, the density, the texture of it before we kind of step in, and then we go with the color essentials, which are like the building blocks for like the color. We need to figure out the determination for like the levels, the tones, the depthness of it. What are they wanting? How do we want? We can't just go in the back and grab a color and just slap it on and hope it all takes place. Just like, if you want to put a level 6, if somebody has level 6 hair and they want it to be like a level 8, we need to use 20 volume developer to kind of lift it up those 2 levels. So taking into consideration formula basics of what formula to use, when to use it, the timing consistency. So like if you're a little bit slower doing all of your foils, I start with a lower volume and then work my way up to a higher volume. I have no problems taking out foils as I go and kind of wipe foils off and cleaning those as I go through. And then when I work in that top part, there's been times where like only this part is processing and the rest of this has already been even taken out or even shampooed. It's really important to know your timing when you're doing color. When you're working with just a partial foil, if you get your time and your speed fast enough, you should be able to stick with the basic, like one volume developer, one bowl of volume. So this would be considered like our partial foil. The foil I'm going to show you, I think, is about like 17 foils, I think. We can always change that up a little bit to kind of fit whatever your client specifically wants and needs. The next slide is going into, this is the foundation of sectioning and placement. As I was talking to somebody else here in the audience, the next slide over. This is just kind of examples of different foiling techniques. We have the chunky foils, the microweave, the highlights, and then like the baby lights. You'll hear those words pop up a lot, and those are just like a visual aid of like the differences of actually between those words. So when somebody says, I don't normally go in and do, this is real chunky. This is like 2005 chunky. That's fine. When I do chunky, I do more of like thicker pieces like that. So I do like 1/4 of an inch in between to give it that chunky appearance. It is important to know which one of these to use in determining what your client wants and like desire. Do they want it more of a soft blended look? You would go in with like the baby lights or the highlights. Do they want it more chunkier, a little bit more of sporadic to having some dimension in it? That's when you would go with more of our chunky highlights. But knowing your sections and the importance of clean and consistent sectioning. So what you do on one side, you should mimic and copy on the next side. And when you have clean and precise sectioning, it gives you no bleeders. That's going to help with that. And then the next slide, this is going to talk about placement. So what we're doing today is the money piece. Now on this one, I really like, I stole some of my pictures from Facebook. So these are not my pictures. I don't know if I need to say that. But what I really liked about this one is because it shows the 3 different types: a low impact, a medium impact, and then a high impact. And those are all determined by the placement of the foils that we do, and then the foiling, like the type of foiling that we do. So these are more like soft baby lights. These are more slices. And then these ones have the dark pieces that are put behind it. So anytime you're trying to work with a client and you need to figure out what you're going to do, it's really important to figure out how, like, do they want it to be on the more subtle? Do they want it to be a low impact? Or do they want it to be a high impact? Do they want to shout when they're talking about their hair? Most of my hair, when I do my hair, is more on the bold side. So I like my hair to have high end when I do mine. The low impact is going to be more soft, subtle baby lights. These ones are going to have a few slices in, and this one's going to be more slicing. As you can see through the back, I can print you guys this one. It'll even show the dots represent more foiled. These have foils and slices, and then this one for the high impact is almost all slicing. And that's important to know the color that goes behind it, and then the foil placements that you have to kind of show exactly, so that when your client shows you a picture, you can kind of break it down on how to actually achieve that picture. So our look today that we're going for is more of this medium impact. I think we can go ahead and move on to like the actual part. The next foil, this is just a video for those folks online to show how I have the top part section. So most of the time, I like to use minimal clips. I don't think it's important to go through and part off the hair with 16 different clips if needed. So I have this top part section. It's kind of like a kind of like a U shape, a horseshoe shape of that top part. We are going to focus on the sides, these peaks through here, and then in the back. So what I always do is I always start on the sides, and that's where we're going to kind of jump in right now. So the next slide will have kind of a breakdown of
So you said that you were gonna do like about 17 foils. So how are you gonna price that?
So that would be priced as a full foil,
Okay,
where if you do
Gotcha.
15 or less, that would be considered a partial foil.
So low impact would be a partial foil. A higher impact would be a full foil. You can always, if you are doing a full foil, you can always extend it to do a little bit more. I can show you at the end, like how I stop mine. If you're going to charge it for a full foil, you may want to go a little bit further and do a little bit more graduating the color down. This one is just through this main part. It shows you through here. These are the steps that we're going to do. A microwave, a diffuse slice. Then we're going to skip and leave a chunk out. And then we're going to do a medium weave diffuse from the scalp heavy. I will kind of break down what each of those mean and how to go. So if I work over here, are you guys going to be able to see this?
Yeah.
We're going to start in the front. And when we do this one, every mannequin is not the same as a human head. They're completely weird and different. And so a human head, you're going to come in with a lot of different variables. I always want to start going through this part vertically like this. And then I like to pivot and work my way up. I don't want to do too much that way because this one is we're going to pivot and that's going to add depthness to this. So the first one is going to be kind of like right up against their hairline. You're going to get like a very, very small section of this. Again, mannequin head, you never really have super, super small. So the first two are going to be very small, very microwaved and blended. I lied. I'm going to swoop to the other side. See if I can just please for me enough oil. There we go. And I think you can see me a little bit better. Here we go. I'd probably go for a little bit of a thinner one than this, but doing it on mannequin hair is not really thin sectioning. So I always clip this out of my way. So we're going to go microwave. That way, very, very fine sectioning in between. And then you can see the little bits of hair that are left out. And then this all is going to be colored. And we're going to lift this up with our bleach. Our lightener is going to sit on there. Have that. I grab, this is my well brush. We're going to, hey, ma'am, get back here. This is going to help kind of glue it to the head. And then I will go in with my color brush, try to keep it as clean as possible. And then work this up. You can bring it all the way around that, bring it down. It's best not to rough up the hair as much as possible. And then when you get up to the top part, I always like to go back up a little bit. It helps soften the line so you don't have that huge line of demarcation and that nice abrupt line to it. So I soften it through this way. And then when you lock it in, I was always taught that it's best not to flatten it too much. You want the foils to have a little bit of like an air pocket in there, because if you push out all of the air, when the bleach rises, it's not going to have anywhere to go. So it's going to spread out of your foil and that's going to cause a bleeder. So if you leave it loose, you can close it like that. You can close it like this. It really doesn't matter. It's just best not to tight and compact those foils in, because that's when you're going to create a lot of bleeders. So the first one is in there. We're going to do the same thing with the microwave. Same thing with the microwave this way. Another soft one that's just soft and subtle. So then when they pull their hair back, you don't have just a stripe of color or just a block of color. So that when it grows out a little bit, it's kind of softer and blends in a little bit easier. Oops. So I like to stick it up, get it right up close to the thing. We're using our well brush to kind of glue that in and get the majority of that color through. And then we're using our clean brush to kind of take a little bit on and just kind of diffusing it a little bit, being a little bit more subtle about that one. So a lot of oils nowadays we're really into teasing the hair, doing teasy lights, diffusing, stuff like that. Those help muddle any straight lines. We are all about blending. We're all about the softness. So then the next one, the diffuse slice medium, we're going to take, when I say medium, I'm going to show you real quick. So when we're doing like baby lights, we're going to take, when we're doing baby lights or teasy lights, we're going to take basically a microwave on how we got the same thing. And then you're going to go from this is a light tease, this is a medium tease, and then starting back here is a heavy tease. So that's how I differentiate between the different types of teasing.
So the more teasing you do, the less color is going to be on there. And then the softer it's going to have, like a softer gradual down is going to have. So when you're doing just those baby little tease lights, just a couple little pop up through here, use your comb to kind of stick it in there. And then that's how you go. This one, we're doing kind of like the micro or the diffuse slice medium. So I'm going to take this bad boy. I'm going to slice it because it's going to add some depthness behind this. So these two are back to back with a little bit that's left out. This one's going to be directly behind that. And then we're going to go in from the medium and then we're going to kind of diffuse it up that way. So all of this hair is going to be colored. And then when this gets brushed down, it's going to leave a little bit of that dimension behind it, which is going to make those two foils pop really well. All right. So I use this. You can, some people, I know that I like to use a clip if I can't get my comb to stay in. I use a clip, just hold that bad boy in there just so those placements stay. I'm going to use my well. I'm going to go down here and take a bulk of that color down here and then kind of go up a little bit. And then I'm going to use my little defining one. I try to keep it clean. I usually keep an extra towel and wipe off my, again, I would try to keep my station and my brushes as clean as possible. Doesn't always work. And this is just going to softly flick that. We still want it to go up higher. So it's still going to have a good high impact through there, but nothing harsh, no direct lines. It gets folded this way. This, I just, yeah, and some people like the shadow root look. And so that way it doesn't go all the way up and gives it a little bit more subtlety. Anytime I don't do a lot of hand painted balayages, but I do a lot of like medium teasing highlights. So that way it still gives the illusion of the balayage without going in and hand painting it. And then, so we're going to, can we go back onto 13, please? Thank you. So now we're going to skip and then we're going to do the 5th one. So when I say skip, I want you to take basically a nice slice section. Take that out because this is going to add depth. You have to have dark hair behind the light hair so it pops. That's where it's giving that more of that medium intensity. We're adding those slices in there to kind of pop those bad boys. And then the last one is going to be the medium diffused. I'm going to do the same thing as I did with that 3rd one, except for bringing the color all the way up to the top. I'm going to bring the color about 1.5 inches down. So we're going to go through here. I'm going to foil. I'm going to use the bottom, not the top. That's getting pushed out of my way. I'm diffusing it again. And instead of flicking it all the way up to the top, I'm just going to stick in this like mid-sit range. And that way it gives it the illusion that it's going bright and then it's slowly tapering off. So when you're doing a fuller or more foils for like the price point, you can go further back if need to, or more importantly, when we do that top part, you can go further back and just kind of slowly reduce it down that way. Or if you want it to be even a quicker foil service, you can cut the foils down a little bit. Oh, I put that in the wrong. And it will help, or it will change the price quote to it. So where it's not full foil, it's more of our partial foil. I just wanted it to be more of a higher impact and give it more of that pow to it. And so just softly tapering it up. That's where you can continue furthering back and going further and further until you just a little bit. And that's going to lock it in here for this color. All right. So what's what you just go angle. Yep. And so these are all just kind of at an angle and kind of work their way pivoting. If you do more, or when I do it into a full foil, I would just kind of continue up, but it's kind of going backwards and kind of spreading and going further south. Absolutely.
Today, if you need to get angle more, you guys can come up closer to the mannequin head.
I'm going to have, when we go ahead and do our hands on, I'm going to have it just kind of chilling as I walk around. So you're more than welcome to look at it. I'm not going to do this side, but then now What you do to one side, you do to the other side. So you copy the same lines and the same foil with the same thickness. I mean, keep in mind that one person may have more hair on one side, and then once you have that down and out of the way and all that stuff, we're going to go into the top part. And so this is kind of, it's really important to make sure that you're getting along their hairline. So I go through, I've got, you know, these little wispy bangs. I go through from here to about here, and then I take that down. So some of it may cross between where you would start right here. My lovely mannequin doesn't have my issues, so I'm only going to be doing like this part of it. But when you kind of go through this back, you're taking these back lines here, that's and bringing them up this way. And then that's what that's going to show. So that's basically these lines through up here. So I'm going to start on this side. Then I'm going to show you kind of that way. So sorry.
Okay, that move.
So basically wanting to get it right up to the scalp, the same as the sides, because you want these first ones to be nice and bright and soft. You don't want any crazy harsh lines. You want it very blended, very soft, very subtle right through there. Because if not, you're doing more of a color block. If you do it more solid, this is going to give it that nice soft look for when they do decide to wear their hair up. They don't have a chunk of color right through there. So it's going to be the same process. We're going to do a microwave, a diffuse slice, and then the chunky foil. Very, very soft. This all gets left out. If I was doing it on an actual human, I'd probably go a little bit thinner than that. It's just really hard to take very thin sections on a mannequin. You can, if you want more subtle, you can always do a few more through there and brighten it up, or leave that, just that nice medium impact. Try not to ruffle up the bleach too much. And then flip this bad boy up. Normally, when I like this piece, I like to fold that piece up. Take this bad boy and then tuck it down. It's gonna help make sure it stays nice and tight right up by their scalp. So we don't have anything that kind of keeps through. Because again, nobody wants a bleeder. Nobody wants tiger stripes. You can use this as your focal point, and then you're going to be pivoting from here this way. So this one's going to start about the same spot. I'm going to go back a little bit at an angle. So all this hair that's left down there is going to add dimension to it. No, it's my fault. I keep putting it back in the bowl. I'll just soften through that. All right. Does anybody have any questions so far? Gonna keep cruising along. Go for it. Okay.
She put conditioner in between them and her
Oh.
oil. Like,
If you think that helps you, for sure. I know some people will go through and put cotton through there. To me, I would feel like that is adding more slippery agents to than it just being the foil. Because this part is going to cover this whole area. When you're doing it this way, you're missing this chunk of hair. So if you do foils this way, you're going to miss all of this hair that is on this side, all of these like these peaks area. So we're gonna do them this way and then like a couple right here to break it apart to give you that nice bright front piece. Because if you do straight on here, you'll be missing. If we do our foil here, you're gonna be missing this whole side section that you're not gonna get done. So if you do diagonals like this, and then when we get up to the part, I'll do like one or two through here, and that's gonna blend everything all together. So that when she wears her hair down, it'll cover that much area.
So that's like a partial, like you're doing, not like a full.
No, it just technically how many foils I did with the company, they like to price it as a full foil. Hey,
Okay, I understand that. But
Oh.
but my question was, is, like, I section mine different.
mm-hmm,
I mean, this is just my way.
yeah,
I
there's,
mean, if you were doing a full, where you start, you do the top down and you do the sides down, still can get this in there.
yeah, but that would give you more of a traditional foil look. This is where
Right,
right
right.
now we're working on just like the money piece.
So, yeah.
And so that's why,
Then,
and, and, and more often than not, I don't foil traditionally. I don't do mohawk backs. Very, very low times do I do a mohawk back. These ones, they're kind of meeting right through this part, but they're still gonna have like the section over the top of them. So I don't think they're overlapping.
The next side. Will they?
Oh, yes. Yeah, because so they're basically both meeting right in the middle. You can always overlap a little bit just to make sure there's no line or any part. But then once you go to the middle and you foil that, and if you take the front two foils very micro weave like you're supposed to, it's gonna blend seamlessly through that top part. And so when I go on this side, I'm gonna go back that way. It's going to kind of just pop right there. So they'll both have a little bit of color to it. I would say their comfort will be fine with the 5 minutes that it takes me to foil their hair. I'm totally okay with them being like, oh, there's something in your eyes. I tell them to close their eyes and take a little 5 minute siesta while I'm foiling their hair. I don't really.
and you leave all this out and just do it.
So if I want to have it blended a little bit more, then I will continue going back. Let me get this piece right up through here real quick, just so I can show her the overlapping part, and then I will kind of talk about that next part. So. I probably moved this way. You think I said my bad. So, and then soften these bad boys. I like to always flick up to a less of a harsh line. So they do overlap this way. And if you pull it up, it'll all blend super seamlessly that way. So once, pretend like we had all of our foils in, and I think there was like 2 more on this one. Once you're going to create that V, I think there is a slide showing the V on top, just kind of like a bird's eye view of what we're doing. Then we're going to see it's got its own V. That's where we're going to go. I'm going to take this and I'm going to chunk this bad boy. I'm going to, I don't know. Are we still online though? Okay. So then I weaved it out. This one is going to go back. This one I'm bleaching. So this one's going to add depth. This was going to be right in that front part. So you take this, you're going to do some teasing in that bad boy, and then we're going to go pretty close up. Once we do that, that's going to kind of help give us that depth to that front part. And then the further back we go, the less color or less hair we're going to bleach. So if we want it to be more of like an actual full foil and go all the way back, instead of it being just the money piece. So if they want it to be like a money piece with highlights kind of blended throughout, I like to subtly and taper off when I do color. So if they want that high the high impact, like the one we saw at the very end, I would do just this. There would be no other. The medium one I do, it's got a couple of these other ones that are just kind of like popping through, just so everything kind of blends softly together. So let's say that one. And then, hey, here. And then the next one. You would do the same thing. I would leave a little bit of that chunk out. And then I would do another medium tease. And then I would start here. And then the third one, after the medium tease, I would start here. And then you just kind of do that so that when it falls down and falls out, it just gradually goes from all this color to a soft fade. And that way it's a little bit more of a quick, speedy service versus doing a full head of foils. And they still get that illusion of like the nice bright through there, and then it soft and subtly fades out. And if you were to go to the last one, this is, yep, that beautiful one right there. That is the end result of this placement. So she's been all mucked up a little bit, and we've kind of been roughing her up a little bit. But this is the exact same foil placement that I did on just kind of a base, she hasn't been played with before. So that was the first kind of color. So you can see how it's nice and it's bright right up around the front. And then it kind of subtly tapers off a little bit down to the back. And everything is going to go out of V because we're going from bright and then tapering it down and blending down. So it kind of gives that whole look to it without it being an overall full foil. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about what we just kind of went through and what I just kind of like threw at you with foil wise? Go for it.
One year.
So with the first few of the foils that are going to be the microweave, those are going to be exactly, you're going to go basically straight up to the root. And you're going to follow the same pattern, but since I drew it out and you kind of medium tease it, and then you're just going to kind of go up as high as you did. So with like the first couple of teasings, you're going to go up to the roots again. We're going to tease it, and then you're going to go all the way. So you'll have like this much of a grow out.
Definitely awesome. If you're teasing, just touching the roots, only grow up already.
Yeah, that would be a completely different sort. That would be more of a foil, just a traditional highlight foil. A lot of our clients are moving into more lived-in foils and a more lived-in blondes. That's where they're not going up to the roots. That's why they're doing a lot of like root smudges and things like that. But when the clients that want it to go up to the root, you'll go in to do more of a traditional foil. This is not a traditional foil.
I think younger generation, they want that.
Yeah, they like the
Mud, the
yeah,
oil.
exactly. And so when if I do a root smudge with that, I would leave the whole front hairline. You don't do a root smudge in that front hairline. You leave that with a nice traditional color, and then you do the root smudge through the back. But this is more of like a lived-in blonde. The money piece, yeah. It's going to give you that bright impact, and then the lived-in through the rest. So you don't have to get your hair done every 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, they may want to up in that front part, but that's when you can go in with a true partial foil and just break it up in that front. So to give the overall look, you can do a full foil and have it softly fade out, and then a partial foil for a root touch up. And then like the second time or third time they come in, then you go back through and do a full again and just bring it back. But a lot of the benefits of this kind of color is to where they don't have to get their hair done. They give it that nice brightness of the blonde without it going straight up to their roots, so that you don't have to do every 4 to 6 weeks of color touch up. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're gonna take a 2-minute break and just kind of reset for our next foil.
Okay. Thank you.
And online, do you guys have questions? So we're back with everybody. And Jean Ann's gonna switch and do the camera side for me.
There you go.
Oh, it was on us.
Yeah.
So just with my original model that I did pre class today. So it looks like a full, but it was just 15 foils. So she has some around her face, and depending how she parts her hair or styles, you can see more or less of it. So Brenda's gonna be our second model in person. So you can do this technique on long or short hair. Get the phone. And I'm just gonna kind of zoom in by person. So the way I like to part it. Oh, Jess, can you come back for just a minute?
That's only 50 foil.
Yes.
Looks like it's full foil, like you said.
Nope. So, it's the front. So if you look at your customer's hairline, you can see Jess has a widow's peak. So you always want to keep in mind how their hair falls and be able to cover where they want if they pull their hair back or if it wears it down. Jess doesn't pull her hair back a lot, so we didn't do it real close to her widow's peak this time.
Okay.
So if we look at Brenda, Brenda wears more bangs, and she doesn't pull them back. She likes them to cover her forehead. So the way I part it is I went from the center of the eyebrow. So if you take your comb, you're gonna come straight up. And then if you lay the comb flat on her head like I just did, you see how it comes off the crown of the head?
I can't see that.
Yes, when you can't. So that's gonna be where you part it for the back. I'm gonna part the top for you guys. So this is the first section here. And then I go mid-ear for the two side sections. Again, if you come up straight down to mid-ear. Now where I placed the comb where it came off the head, I'm actually gonna split it in two sections so you can see it's off the head here. And if we had another comb, you would just bring it straight down if that makes sense for you guys. And normally I just do one really big section, but I'm parting it in two so you guys can see the section. With the underneath here, to get it out of my way, if they have long or short hair, just so I know I'm not gonna touch this hair, you can take and just do a quick braid to keep it out of your guys' way. That way it just tells me I'm not gonna touch this hair. It's gonna stay the color it is. And it stays out of the way here for me. And this one's parted mid-ear too. With Brenda's hair, hers is a little shorter than Jess, so she has two braids instead of the one big braid that I did on Jess's to get it out of my way.
Gonna come out probably.
That one did. Your other one didn't. Okay. So we're gonna spin her around.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, Brenda. So these foils are gonna fall in your face for right now. So it will be a little uncomfortable, but we'll get them out of your face eventually for you. Always let the person know that they are gonna fall in their face. And the first one, we did more of a medium weave on Jess. And I teased a little bit of hers. That way it gives more kind of a softer root for her. With Brenda, we do two colors. So we do the lightener. And I did not, my tease is right here at the top. I laid my foil underneath it. And I just feather down where she has the lightener already. I don't run it all the way through her ends. 20. I was a stylist to use 30 or 40 volume, but switching and doing the education has taught me different with the developer. So I don't want to blow up the cuticle. I want to keep the integrity of the hair. So the 20 volume, you can get as much lift as 30 or 40. It's just slower, but I like the results better. And I find my foils don't bleed as much either. So, because the higher the developer, the more the lightener is swelling.
So her hair is already light, you know.
So Brenda is 90% gray, but
Yeah.
we normally do lightener and then color to put some brown back in it for her.
It's a 7 to 8.
So we use the 8N on Brenda. So then I parted about half inch section that I left behind. This next section. Same thing. You always want to be able to read a newspaper through your foil. So my partings are about 1/4 of an inch. And this one's going to be a little bit on the finer side.
On your legs. Every size is okay with the vintage.
I like to use the shiny side versus the matte side. She's asking what side is better. I think of it as cooking. So if you put the shiny side down on a roast, it's holding the heat in, where non-shiny lets more of the heat out. So same thing. I'm gonna fix this parting a little bit. So as I'm going back, I'm going bigger on the parting. So this one's gonna be about 1 inch.
Reason for that is just the look.
Just the look of it. And this one, it's gonna be a little bit more on the chunky side. I kind of alternate finer and then chunky. Now, say you guys are foiling and you kind of get sidetracked and you actually accidentally drop your lightener there. I like to keep clean brushes on my cart. That way, in case I get sidetracked or someone bumps into me or accidentally drop, this is going to be your magic eraser. So you take the brush, grab another one. And you see how that just took it right off of her hair? So that just helps you guys as you are learning.
Just my finger.
Well, I don't normally drop it like that. That was just an example. It does happen occasionally. And I always go down with my lightener. I don't go up.
So there's different ways you can do it. Like
Yeah.
she did it at the bridge.
Yeah, at the back, I'll show you when I do more of the teasing one. So again, an inch parting. And this one's gonna be more finer. So you can see we're at the back of the head on the top. Brenda, I'm gonna have you look down a little bit. So this would be our last foil here. And more of a medium weave again. Sorry, Brenda, I am gonna bump into your legs.
Okay.
And then I'll actually hold these up a little bit, not all the way, but just to get it out of her face so she can see. And I just secure it lightly with the clip. So on the side,
I was not sure if you were gonna spin her.
I kind of nervous. It's gonna be tucked under your feet for just a few minutes. Yeah. So with the sides here, it's gonna be more diagonal.
You go for it.
And I tend to steal my clips from the other side when I'm not using them. So to start out with, and these are gonna angle up if that makes sense to you guys. So it will be like more of a triangle. And I'm gonna tilt you just a little bit. With Jess's, we did not put the light around her face. That way as it grows out, she doesn't get the hard band that sometimes you get with the foils. So here we did more of a baby light closer to her face. And because Brenda has lighter ends, I did just hit it on that one. So that's where my brush comes in handy to get it off of her end. So I dropped down that section. It's about an inch that I'm leaving behind. Is that a question? Does anybody have questions online while we're doing this? So with Brenda's, this is her bang. We want to make sure we get that in with this section. So this one's a little bit on the chunkier side than the baby light one before. And the reason I said get the bang piece in is because we got the bang in the second piece here. That way they match up together.
You said you're doing a triangle parting.
Well, it will end up in a triangle once you get to the top. So you'll have this little triangle piece left behind.
Yeah, so.
You'll see it when we do the models. Yep, I'm kind of alternating in between a baby light and a more chunkier weave. And I'm just cleaning up that parting. You guys see how that triangle is left behind? Now with this one on Jess, I teased it a little bit just to make it a little softer at her root. With Jess, we did do a 2-color foil. So we did 8 warm natural is her dark color, and then the light master blue with 20 volume for the lightness. Sorry, I gotta check and make sure it is the color. Thank you. And it is okay to always go back and check if you're ever unsure.
What if you accidentally put back to back, same one?
You'll
You
just
just have
have
a
a
little different look.
lightness or a dark patch. So the reason I don't go up with mine is because my tease is here. I don't want to brush it up into my tease area. I put my foils pretty close. If I was to stagger the foils down a little bit, then yes, I could brush it up. So how many foils are we up to now if this side was pre-done to match this other one?
Just
So it's-
four?
this is 13.
Is it 13?
So in the back, we're doing 15.
4, 5, 7 right now, right? 4 and 3,
5 on top.
5 on top,
Yeah.
So right now. we
9.
have 9.
There's 5 already on
Four
top?
is 13. And we have 4 more on this side that matches this side, guys. We're pretending. It's 13.
4, 4, 5.
So we're pretending we already did this side to match this side. Those of you online, I'm gonna clip this.
16.
This is gonna be a 15 foil, so this is our partial foil. Okay. Most people have a calic. So if you guys kind of see Brenda's hair, it comes up here in a calic. I have 2 very bad ones in the back of my head. Jess also had one. So I usually like to go a little bit below the calic. That way, when it separates, you don't necessarily see the line. It kind of camouflages that in.
That looks better, huh?
Yes, you do. You see it on the video.
I got a good close up of it.
So it's about an inch parting that I clipped up. And I did more of a medium weave in the back here. And this one, because we did Brenda's light here, is gonna be the darker color. Same thing here. We're going at an angle. You see how that's kind of a triangle? Don't pay attention to them. We're gonna clip this up out of our way. More of a medium weave. And that's for 15 foils. Do you guys have questions? Yeah, because this is all gonna fall back when she styles her hair. And if you, I'm gonna have Jess sit down, that way we could see hers. She's a lot taller than me, that way I can zoom in for you guys. So Jess is clipped up, but her foils went to right here. And then all this was left behind. She did have her hair previous foiled before, but we went dark for her. So that's how it will turn out. Do you guys have questions online? We're gonna give a minute to chat in. Someone's typing just a moment. Someone's typing, so we're just waiting. So on the people online, you can come unmuted. Tabitha Hill said for a partial foil, how long do I get to get it to blend and not look funky or stretch? It says for a partial foil, how do I get it to blend and not look funky or stretch?
So a lot of, for what I like to do, so they don't get chunky or stripy, if you're gonna do a partial foil. Most of it is either like the fine weaves and stuff, but if you're doing them a lot this way, they're gonna be more chunkier this way. If you try foiling them this way, more horizontally than vertically like a traditional mohawk, you can get more of a softer blend doing it that way. With these two colors, this is gonna, the actual traditional mohawk's gonna give it more of like the nice clean pieces so you can see those colors a little bit. If you're doing an all blonde or an all one color partial foil and you want it to be a little bit more blended and more seamless, I would foil horizontally instead of vertically. That'll help give it a little bit more of a softer look to it. Hopefully that answered that question.
Did that help, Tabitha?
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna kind of go down the list online that I see, just to make sure we have no other questions. So we have Smart Style College Place. You guys have any questions for us? Okay, we'll go to Mara next. Do you have any questions?
No, we're good.
Okay, Erica, do you guys have questions? And she may be with the customer. And Deborah, how about you? Okay, well, I appreciate you guys hopping on today. If you guys have anything that you want to see in the future with classes, please let us know. And then if you guys remember to put your name in the chat with your salon number, you guys will be entered in for winning prizes today for joining class. I appreciate you guys getting online and participating with education.
Absolutely. And so as she said, if you guys have any questions for us, or if you just need to pick our brain or use us as a soundbar for any or any questions regarding color formulations, hair cutting, foils, or anything like that, you can either send us a text message or an email and we will get back to you as soon as we can. If it's like a right then and there and you have a client with you, you can call us. We may be able to answer our phone, but text message usually works pretty well. And like I said, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or if you have any ideas of other classes that you'd like to do. We'd be glad to help out and see what we can do for it. I appreciate everybody getting online with us.
And so you guys do have our contact. My email is melissa@gilsalons.com. My phone number, I'm usually behind the chair, so it's easier if you guys probably shoot me a text if you have a question and you need to get a hold of me instantly. It will go right to my watch, so I will call you guys back. But it's 253-241-0341. And we'll type that and make sure you guys get that with your managers or district managers. And Tina, can you tell them yours?
Yeah, my phone number is 253-293-6260. On the flyer that all of your guys' managers should have for our class, it has our email, or at least I think it's got both of our emails on it, and my email is jeanannetrowbridge@yahoo.com.
Well, thank you again. Have a good day.
Thank you.